shit that it's usually the shit that was attached to it, which is something I don't understand with politics. Like, why can't you just vote on what you're voting on? Like, should we have clean water? Yes, we should. And then, like, the shit that's attached to it. But we can still fucking dump toxic shit in here. And then when the guy goes to, or the woman goes to run, it's like, oh, this person voted against the Clean Water Act. This is your tree hugger? I'm Joe Blow, and I approve of this message.
Well, here's a good version of that. Remember the Covington school case? There was the kid had a MAGA hat on, and the Native American was beating the drums, and the kid was smiling, looking at him, and they took it, pretending that this kid walked up to this Native American beating the drums and was smiling in his face and mocking him. Mm-hmm. What really happened is these kids were on a field trip for high school. They're selling MAGA hats. The kids are 16. They're being jerk-offs. They buy these hats and put them on. They're just having fun, right? There's very little supervision. While they're there, these Native Americans are beating their drums, and this guy walks up to the kid and gets in the kid's face and is beating the drum. Now, CNN, all these people went with this narrative that these kids were mocking him. The kid just stood there smiling while this Native American got in his face. But the photo of the kid doing that. It's disturbing that those, there used to be rules on ownership of media. Yeah. I think way back in the day it was like a rule of sevens, like no one person could own seven, any combination of radio, TV, because you can literally influence public opinion. And that's why... Like, I've watched, and dude, 12 years ago, I went down the Federal Reserve fucking rabbit hole. I became the guy you didn't want to talk to. About the Federal Reserve?
All of that shit, the private thing, it's Federal Express. I went down.
Jekyll Island.
Yeah. All of that shit. Yeah. And, like, watching, I just feel like in the last, I don't know how many years, where it's just all of a sudden they stopped being just sort of, everything they were, I think, reporting was always perverted to some level. Mm-hmm. And now it's just you're sort of watching like op-ed pieces. So I don't know. This is somebody who doesn't watch anything and reads like, autobiographies of football players in the 1950s. So
in this Covington school kid case, they sued. The kid sued and won. They, the CNN painted him out to be a monster. They were getting death threats. The kid just stood there smiling.
Did CNN also issue a retraction?
I don't know what they did, but they paid him. I don't know what they, but
that's why I don't like either one of those channels because of that, and it causes, I think, rational people, like that guy, the fat dude in the bicycle suit, ripping those pieces of paper out of those girls' hands.
Oh yeah, Jesus Christ!
That guy. That is the result, I think, of watching one of those channels 24/7 and then going on Facebook and writing in capital letters.
Could you imagine if you were there watching that guy rip pieces of paper out of a little girl's hand like that he didn't even know, yelling at her, running up to her where the mother is yelling, "You stop touching her! Get your hands off her!" I would have.
Oh, that was the mom? I thought that was her friend.
Whoever that was. It sounded like a woman. It sounded like a woman yelling because it was a little girl.
He was doing everything but growling.
Yeah.
And then it gets to the point of like, what is in your head that you're trying to defend? Like, what? Like, that's a guy. But then everybody vilifies the guy, which I would rather sit down and talk to that guy and be like, let me ask you this. When you watch that, Floyd video, like, what is it that you see? Because just yelling at somebody, canceling him and making him lose his fucking job, you're just going to make the guy even more angry. And he probably has grandkids that he's going to fill their head before he dies.
So what's the solution? Sit down and talk to him?
I think that should be part of it. Like, buddy, let's just sit down for a second. You were on a bicycle. You wanted to burn some calories. You're obviously into it by the way you're dressed. Okay? You're enjoying America's great parks.
Right.
You come across these kids. Do you like kids? Have you ever attacked a kid before? They're just putting a piece of paper up with the point of view. Like, what do you think led up to that level of a response? Because I have to be honest, like, we've all fucking snapped and done shit. I would like to think I have. And afterwards, I'd be like, what the fuck? Why did I argue that? Why did I say that? Why did I do that? And the only way to kind of prevent from you being a fucking asshole again is you have to kind of walk back and look at it.
Right.
So going at the guy, which I totally understand, because it was so bad it was almost comical, because he was borderline growling at them. And
what was really bad? He didn't even get the paper from the girl. He grabs the girl. The girl clenched her fist down and held onto the paper.
My favorite part was the sound of the bottom of his shoes that clip into the pedals.
Click, click.
He sounded like a little show pony. He was trying to growl like a tiger, and he sounded like My Pretty Pony, like somebody should have been combing his hair. So, and I was sitting there going, look at this crazy old guy. And
Okay, but
I don't know how. I didn't think
how
how old I thought he was, but then he was like 60. I was like, this guy's like only 8 years older than me. So he graduated high school like 8 years before me. So like this guy is almost part of my generation. Like, what experiences did he have that he looks at this whole thing like, you know? I mean, I'm not of that thing saying all cops are like those guys. It's like, no, it's like you have to get those guys off of the force. That's what I think. So. I just don't understand, like, and that was my understanding. What they were putting up there was specific to the Minneapolis case. Yeah. So my thing is, as a human being, how could you have issue with somebody trying to put something, you know, honoring that guy or something positive about that? Like, that's what I was confused.
I don't know what she put up. I'm not sure what she put up. It was definitely about the George Floyd protest. You know, maybe
see, that's a great point. I couldn't see what was written
yeah.
on the paper, and I filled that in when I watched it. But I really couldn't get over the sound of his shoes, though. That was really fucking funny. And when he started walking faster with the bike, it was almost like a great movie trailer for a horror film.
Yeah.
No?
But could you
the
imagine
60-year-old fat bike rider?
Imagine if that was your daughter.
So my
imagine if your daughter, you're sitting there and that guy runs up to your daughter and he's grabbing the paper out of her hand. He's running at her, grabbing the paper out of while a woman's screaming at him to not touch her. Don't you touch her.
Yeah, I mean.
Imagine.
Yeah, I mean, there's only one response as a father.
Yeah, murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like murder.
No? What do you like?
Maim. I want him to remember that he did it.
That's interesting. That's interesting. That's another level.
Start with the blown out ACL, and you go from there.
Yeah.
Beat him with his stupid shoe. Why do people wear? I actually had to look up why people wore those shoes.
They clip in.
I know they do, but I'm like, what is the advantage of that?
Is there an advantage? It's
yeah,
hard.
I think it's when you're coming up this way. You can still
yeah.
pull with your leg, so you're getting more of an efficient
that makes
motion.
Sense.
This guy's really into biking and not putting paper on trees. Don't put their dead relatives in their faces.